There's a moment in every journey, just before the air grows heavy, just before the shadows stretch a little too long, when you realize you're not alone. Maybe you felt it too, that prickling sense of being watched, the quiet dread that curls around your spine like a spider's silk. Tonight, we step into one of Middle-earth's most chilling tales, where darkness isn't just an absence of light. It's alive, patient, and hungry. Welcome, wanderer, whether you're curled under blankets in the quiet hours or listening as the sun dips below your horizon. We'd love to know where you're joining us from and what time your journey into rest begins. Let us whisper this story together and let us know in the comments below. Picture this: a traveler, weary from miles of unseen dangers, stands at the mouth of a cave. The air is thick with the scent of damp stone and something older. The faintest glimmer catches their eye, a relic perhaps, or a trick of the light. But legends don't trick, they warn, and the name Shelob isn't just a shadow in the lore of Middle-earth. It's a breath stolen mid-sentence, a thread of fate pulled taut. This isn't just a cave, it's a threshold, and beyond it, something stirs in the dark, something that remembers the world before fear had a name. What would you do in that moment? Turn back or step forward, because here's the truth. Every great story hinges on a choice like that. And tonight, we're not just telling a tale, we're living it. The rustle of unseen legs, the whisper of silk against stone. Shalab's legend is woven into the very fabric of Middle-earth's nightmares. But so is courage. So is the light, however faint, that draws us deeper. So take a breath, slow and steady. The cave awaits, and the story, well, it's already spinning its web around you. The torchlight wavers, casting long, trembling shadows across the walls. But these walls aren't made of stone. They're woven, strands thicker than a man's wrist crisscross the passage, glistening with a sickly sheen, sticky with the promise of a trap sprung. The traveler's breath hitches. One wrong move, one brush against those threads, and the entire web will tremble. A dinner bell ringing in the dark, that faint hum. It's not the wind, it's the vibration of a predator's realm, a song older than the mountains themselves. Every creature in these tunnels knows that sound. The lucky ones flee, but our traveler, they're frozen, caught between instinct and purpose. Because here's the thing about webs, they don't just catch bodies. They catch time. Every second stretches like those silken cords, thin and quivering, a skittering echo. Close, then far, then closer still plays tricks on the mind. Is it ahead, behind, or above? The ceiling's too high for the light to reach. And then a whisper of movement, not the skittering this time, something slower. Deliberate, a leg curved like a scythe, tests the air between strands. The torch's glow catches the edge of it, black, bristled, glistening with something that isn't due. Shelob doesn't rush, she waits. She's felt the tremors of foolish feet before. The traveler's pulse thrums in their throat. One step back, one step forward. Both could be fatal, because this isn't just a cave. It's her kingdom, and every thread, every shuddering breath of air is part of her design. The traveler's fingers tighten around the torch. Fire, it's the one language monsters understand. But in this labyrinth, even light has its limits. The shadows ahead don't just hide the path. They hide the shape of the thing that owns the dark. Tell me, Have you ever held your breath so long your ribs ached? That's the silence here. The moment before the web trembles. The moment before the choice is made for you. A voice coils through the darkness, not through the air, but through the mind itself, slick and suffocating. So brave for now, it murmurs, each word a needle threaded with amusement. The traveler's fingers twitch around their dagger, but the blade feels suddenly small, childish, against the weight of that voice. Shelob doesn't hiss. She confides. She tells them of others who stood in this very spot, their courage unraveling strand by strand. The scent of decay curls around them now, sweet and cloying, clinging to the back of the throat. It's not just damp earth. It's the musk of old feasts, of bones picked clean and left to dangle like macabre ornaments. The whispers continue, painting pictures in the dark. A knight whose armor rusted mid-scream, a thief who mistook her webs for treasure. Their stories aren't warnings, they're invitations. But here's the cruelest trick of all. The voice sounds almost kind. It croons about rest, about surrender, about how easy it would be to let go. The dagger's hilt bites into the traveler's palm, the pain a lifeline, because that's how Shalab wins, not with fangs, but with fatigue. She doesn't need to rush. Fear does the hunting for her, and then silence. The voice vanishes, leaving only the echo of its absence. The traveler's breath comes ragged. Was it real? Or just the dark playing tricks? But the webs tremble anyway, answering the question for them. Somewhere above, something shifts. Not skittering, not stalking. Laughing, because the truth is, Shalab doesn't need to whisper to be heard. Her kingdom is built on echoes, and every scream, every whimper, every last gasp of those who came before. They are still here, woven into the walls, humming in the threads, waiting for the next verse of the song. The traveler swallows hard. The dagger won't save them. Not from this, but maybe, just maybe, the light will. The torch gutters, its flame thin and desperate. One more breath, one more step. The dark presses closer, but the traveler presses back. The glimmer is so faint, so tantalizing, just a sliver of light in the suffocating dark, like a promise of escape. The traveler's foot hovers over what looks like solid ground, muscles coiled to step forward until the torchlight catches it. Not stone, not a path, a pit. Its edges lined with strands of silk, so fine they could slice flesh to bone, each one strung with the precision of a master weaver. The traveler jerks back, heart hammering against their ribs, as the air shivers with a sound like dry leaves scraping together. Shalab's laughter. It curls around them, thick with mockery, as if to say, almost. Anger rises then, hot and bright, cutting through the fear. It's one thing to be hunted, another to be played with. The traveler's jaw tightens. No more mistakes. No more trusting the dark. But the maze stretches on, its walls shifting with every flicker of the torch, every whisper of wind that isn't wind at all. Shelob doesn't just build traps, she builds illusions that bend in the tunnel. It might lead to freedom, or it might double back into her waiting embrace. And the worst part, she wants them to choose. Every hesitation, every frantic glance over their shoulder feeds her game. The traveler's fingers flex around the torch, its flame guttering but still alive. That's the thing about light in places like this. It doesn't just reveal dangers, it reveals how alone you are. No allies, no footsteps to follow, just the endless, hungry dark, and the creature who calls it home. A skittering ripple moves through the webs overhead, too quick to track. The traveler doesn't look up. They've learned that much. Instead, they press forward, step by deliberate step, eyes locked on the ground. But the maze is patient, and Shelob, she's already weaving the next trap. The darkness breathes. That's the first thing the traveler notices, not a sound, not a movement, but the way the air itself thickens, pressing against their skin like a living thing. Then the glint, not one pair of eyes, but dozens, scattered across the blackness like stars winking into existence. Except stars don't hunger, stars don't lean closer. Shelob's body is a shadow given form, a nightmare stitched from the oldest fears of Middle-earth. Her legs flex, each one a curve of polished darkness, tipped with barbs that could pierce stone. The traveler's breath catches. Every instinct screams to run, but where? The tunnel behind is a tangle of her making. The path ahead, a guess at best. She doesn't pounce. Not yet. There's a rhythm to her cruelty, a slow savoring of panic, the way a sommelier lingers over a rare vintage. The traveler's pulse thrums in their throat, loud enough to echo. Shelob tilts her massive head, as if listening to it. Fight, those glittering eyes seem to ask. With what? That pitiful blade. A ripple moves through her limbs, not an attack, but a shudder of amusement. She's seen weapons before. They all rust eventually, and fleeing. The webs hum at the thought, their strands quivering with anticipation. Shelob's kingdom isn't just a place. It's a game board, and every possible move has already been played out in her mind. The traveler's boot scrapes against stone, the sound absurdly loud. A mistake. Her abdomen tenses, a subtle shift of weight, not striking, just adjusting. Letting them see how easily she could. Here's the truth about monsters. The scariest ones don't need to roar. Shelob's silence is her weapon. It carves space in the traveler's mind, filling it with images of what could happen. The prick of fangs, the slow creep of venom, the way the light might fade from their eyes as she wraps them in silk, another trophy for her collection. But the torch still burns, however faint, however desperate. Its flame is a rebellion. Shelob's eyes narrow. She doesn't like fire, doesn't like choices she didn't orchestrate. The traveler grips the hilt of their dagger, not to strike, but to remember. They're not prey, not yet, because the oldest trick in the dark isn't fangs or venom. It's the lie that you've already lost. Shelob shifts again, this time with purpose. The game is ending. The traveler's muscles coil, ready, not for her move, but for theirs. Shelob lunges with the force of a landslide, her claws screeching against stone as the traveler throws themselves sideways. The air hums with the near miss, her bulk crashing into the tunnel wall with a shudder that sends dust raining from the ceiling. No time to breathe, no time to think. The traveler sprints, boots skidding on slick rock, webs snapping like bowstrings underfoot, each broken strand a tiny alarm ringing through the dark. Adrenaline burns through their veins, turning every gasp into fire, every heartbeat into a drumroll of survival. But Shelob doesn't tire. She adapts. Her legs scuttle over walls, ceiling, floor, turning the tunnels into a three-dimensional nightmare. The traveler risks a glance back. A mistake. Her shadow looms, closer than before, her many eyes reflecting the torchlight like shards of a broken mirror. The tunnels twist, branching like veins in some monstrous heart. Left, right, the choice is gut deep, instinctual. The traveler veers into the narrower passage, shoulders scraping stone, praying the cramped space might slow her. But Shelob doesn't hesitate. Her body contorts, joints bending at impossible angles, squeezing after them with a predator's patience. The air reeks of damp chitin and something sharper. Venom, maybe, or the metallic tang of old blood. A web thick as a rope suddenly lashes across the path. The traveler ducks, feeling it whisper over their hair, and stumbles forward. Shelob's hiss vibrates through the rock, a sound less heard than felt, rattling teeth and bone. She's toying with them now, testing, because here's the cruel truth. The chase isn't just about hunger, it's about hope. The longer the traveler runs, the more they believe escape is possible. And nothing tastes sweeter to a monster than hope turned to despair. The torch sputters, its light dwindling to a fragile glow. Shadows deepen, pooling like ink. Somewhere ahead, water drips a slow, mocking rhythm. The traveler's lungs scream, muscles fray, but the worst part, the silence behind them, no skittering. No scraping, just the awful, weightless knowledge that Shalab isn't gone. She's choosing, and when she strikes again, it won't be a lunge, it'll be a lesson. The crevice is barely wider than the traveler's shoulders, its jagged edges biting into their back as they press against the stone. Shalab's hiss coils through the cracks, a sound like steam escaping a grave, but her monstrous bulk can't follow. Not here, not yet. For the first time in what feels like an eternity, the air is still, no skittering, no webs trembling with the weight of her approach, just the ragged rhythm of their own breath and something else. A glow, faint as a dying ember, pulsing from deeper in the fissure. The artifact, it's closer than they ever dared hope, close enough to taste the metallic tang of its magic on their tongue. But here's the cruel twist. It's not tucked safely in some alcove. It's out there, beyond the crevice's mouth, resting on a ledge just within sight, and just within Shalab's domain. The traveler's fingers twitch. They could almost reach it. Almost, if not for the shadow that circles just beyond the light, patient as a moonless night. Shalab isn't gone. She's waiting. Her silence isn't retreat. It's strategy. She's let them taste hope. Let them count the steps between here and the artifact. Now she'll watch to see if they're fool enough to chase it. The traveler's nails dig into their palms. This isn't just a test of courage. It's a test of greed. How badly do they want that glimmering prize? Badly enough to step back into her web. The artifact pulses again, its light throbbing like a beckoning finger. It's not just a trinket. It's a key, a shield, maybe the only thing that could turn the tide against Shalab's venom and silk. The traveler's throat tightens. They could stay here, pressed into the stone until thirst or madness takes them, or they could move. One reckless, glorious lunge toward the light. But Shalab knows hunger. She understands it, and right now, she's counting on it to do her work for her. The traveler's knees tremble. The artifact's glow paints their face in fleeting gold, flickering like a promise or a taunt. Either way, the choice is coming, and when it does, there won't be time to second guess. Only to act, or to become another whispered lesson in the dark. The metal burns against the traveler's palm, not with heat, but with a pulse like a living heartbeat, trapped in iron. Power leaks from it in visible waves, distorting the air like heat over desert sands. Shalab's shriek isn't just sound, it's a physical force, slamming into the traveler's chest, rattling their ribs like bars on a cage. The artifact's glow intensifies, as if answering the challenge, painting the cavern walls in shifting hues of gold and shadow. Here's the choice. Clutch this relic and let its magic, whatever it is, course through them, or drop it and face Shelob with nothing but grit and a dagger already trembling in their grip. The artifact thrums again, whispering in a language older than words. It doesn't promise safety. It promises change, and change in places like this is just another kind of gamble. Shalab's legs scuttle against stone, her bulk blocking the tunnel's mouth. She doesn't charge, not yet. She's watching, learning, because the artifact isn't just a tool. It's a wild card, and even monsters hesitate when the rules shift. The traveler's fingers tighten. The metal bites into their skin, its edges sharp with forgotten purpose. What did it once do? Who forged it? The answers are lost, but the weight of them isn't. A spider's patience is infinite. A human's isn't. The traveler exhales one sharp breath and makes the choice. The artifact flares, its light swallowing the cavern whole. Shelob rears back, her eyes flashing with something beyond hunger. Recognition, fear. The magic doesn't burn. It binds. Threads of gold spiral from the relic, weaving through the air like living things, mirroring Shalab's own webs but brighter, fiercer. They don't ensnare, they answer. The traveler's vision whites out for a heartbeat. When it clears, the cavern is different, not in shape, but in understanding. They see the threads now, not just Shalab's, but the ones beneath them, the ones that have always been there. The tapestry of Middle Earth's oldest magic, woven into the very stone. Shelob hisses, but it's a sound of confusion. For the first time, she isn't the hunter. She's the one being seen, but power has a price. The artifact's glow dims slightly, its pulse uneven. It's not infinite, and Shelob, she's learning fast. Her legs flex, testing the edges of those golden threads, probing for weakness. The traveler's head pounds. The magic is a river, and they're drowning in it. Wield it too long, and it might consume them. Drop it now, and Shelob will strike. The artifact's whisper grows urgent. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks in pressure, a push toward the tunnel's far end, where a sliver of true daylight pierces the gloom. Escape. But escape means turning their back. Means trusting this relic to hold Shelob at bay long enough. The traveler's muscles lock. Because here's the truth about relics and monsters. Neither ever fights fair. And right now, the only certainty is the weight in their hand, and the thing in the dark that stopped hissing. Shelob isn't retreating, she's recalculating. And the traveler, they are out of time. Light erupts like a dying star in the traveler's hand, searing the cavern with a brilliance that turns Shalab's shadow into a grotesque mural across the stone. For one heartbeat, too, the monster is frozen not in fear, but in pure animal confusion. Light this raw doesn't belong in her kingdom. It hurts. The traveler doesn't hesitate. They surge forward, the artifact's glow carving a path through the clinging dark, its heat branding their palm. Shalab's hiss splits the air, a sound like tearing metal, as she rears back, her many eyes flashing with something beyond rage betrayal. This isn't how the game is played, but the light is already fading. The artifact sputters, its power draining like sand through fingers. The traveler's charge becomes a race against time itself. Every step is a gamble, on the uneven ground, on the relic's dying strength, on the hope that somewhere beyond these webs, daylight still exists. Shelob recovers faster than flesh should allow. One of her legs lashes out, a black scythe, cutting the air where the traveler's chest had been a breath before. They duck, roll, come up with the artifact thrust ahead like a shield. It flickers weakly, but the glow is enough to make Shelob flinch. Here's the thing about monsters. They forget, sometimes, that their prey can bite back. The traveler's free hand finds the dagger at their belt. Not for Shelob, no blade could pierce that hide, but for the threads above. A single slash sends a curtain of silk, collapsing between them, buying seconds. The artifact's pulse grows erratic, its light dimming to a sickly yellow. It's not just a tool, it's a life raft, and the ocean is running dry. Shelob doesn't roar. She calculates. Her body shifts, blocking the tunnel's far end, where a sliver of true daylight taunts the traveler. She's hurting them now, cornering. The artifact's whispers grow frantic, its magic fraying at the edges. The traveler's muscles scream, their breath comes in ragged gasps, but their grip doesn't loosen. Because here's the secret no one tells you about darkness. It's not the absence of light, it's the absence of choice. And right now, with the artifact's last sparks dancing in their palm, the traveler still has one. They raise the relic high, not to flee, but to shatter it against the stone. Shalab's reaction is instant. A shudder races through her limbs, her eyes widening in something almost like a recognition. The artifact isn't just light, it's memory, and memories, when broken, don't fade quietly. The cavern holds its breath. The traveler's arm tenses. Somewhere above, a single thread of web snaps with a sound like a harp string breaking. The choice is made. The artifact falls. The artifact's light flares like a dying sun as Shalab's fangs graze the traveler's cheek, leaving a burning trail of venom in their wake. The stench of scorched chitin fills the air, an acrid, unnatural smell that clings to the back of the throat. Shalab's scream isn't just pain, it's outrage. No mortal has burned her in centuries. Her massive body convulses, legs thrashing against the cavern walls, sending showers of loose stone crashing to the ground. Dust swirls in the artifact's wavering glow, turning the air into a swirling tapestry of gold and shadow. But light alone won't save them. The traveler's arms tremble under the artifact's weight, not from exhaustion, but from the way its power pulses through them, a current too fierce for flesh to contain. Every heartbeat sends fresh waves of that alien energy, crackling down their veins. It's not just a tool, it's alive, and it's hungry. Shelob feels it too. Her movements grow calculated, her attacks less reckless. She circles now, her many eyes reflecting the glow not with fear, but with a terrible curiosity. Above them, the cavern groans. Ancient webs snap under the strain, their sticky strands falling like grotesque rain. The whole mountain seems to shudder, as if sensing the imbalance. The artifact's power disrupting something older than Shelob herself. The traveler staggers, their boot sinking into something soft and wet. They don't look down. They already know what's there. The remains of others who dared this path, reduced to little more than hollow bundles in the dark. Shelob's next lunge isn't blind rage, it's strategy. Her body twists midair, avoiding the artifact's glow, her legs aiming not for the traveler's throat, but for their wrist. A sickening crack echoes through the cavern. The traveler's grip holds, but barely. White-hot pain races up their arm. The artifact's light flickers, once, twice, as if mirroring their fading strength. And then, the unthinkable, a sound beyond the hiss of webs and the rasp of chitin. Water, somewhere beyond the chaos, a distant trickle becomes a roar. The cavern's hidden veins are breaking. Whether by the artifact's power or Shelob's rage, the tunnels are flooding. The traveler's breath catches. Water means escape. Or it means drowning in the dark. Shelob hesitates, her head tilting toward the sound. For the first time, something like uncertainty flickers in those depthless eyes. The artifact chooses that moment to shudder violently in the traveler's grasp. A hairline fracture races across its surface, leaking light like blood from a wound. It's breaking, and when it does, the darkness will rush back in, hungrier than ever. The cavern shrieks with the sound of splitting stone. A stalactite older than kingdoms breaks free, plummeting like a spear of the earth itself. It finds its mark with a wet crunch, shearing through one of Shelob's massive legs, pinning it to the ground in a spray of black ichor. Her scream isn't pain, it's violation. No wound has touched her in an age. The traveler doesn't wait. They're already moving, legs pumping, the artifact's dying light throwing their shadow ahead of them like a fraying lifeline. Every breath burns. Every heartbeat hammers against their ribs like a prisoner rattling bars. The tunnel narrows, then widens, its walls streaked with phosphorescent fungi that pulse like a sickly mockery of stars. Behind them, Shelob's thrashing sends tremors through the rock, but the sound that chills the traveler's blood isn't her rage. It's the wet, tearing pop as she wrenches free of the stalactite's grasp. The air changes then cooler, thinner, carrying the faintest kiss of moisture that doesn't reek of decay. The exit. It's close. The artifact gutters in their grip, its glow reduced to a feeble shimmer, barely enough to reveal the jagged teeth of the tunnel's mouth. Freedom is a silhouette ahead, a slice of twilight painted in hues of violet and gold. But Shelob knows shortcuts. A skittering thud shakes the ground as she drops from some unseen crevice, her remaining legs splayed like a living barricade. The traveler doesn't slow, can't. Momentum carries them forward as Shelob's abdomen contracts, not to strike, but to spray. A mist of silk erupts from her spinnerets, a net woven midair, glistening with venom. The traveler ducks, rolls, feels the sticky strands graze their back, hardening instantly where they touch. A second slower, and they'd have been sealed like a fly in amber. The artifact's light winks out. Darkness rushes in, but the traveler's eyes are already fixed on the exit, now just 10 paces away. 5. Shelob's final lunge is a blur of chitin and fury, her fangs flashing like scythes in the dying light. The traveler throws themselves sideways, feeling the wind of her strike, then up, scrambling onto a ledge too narrow for her bulk. Stone scrapes raw against their palms as they haul themselves into the open air, into the shock of a sky streaked with sunset. Shelob's scream follows them, shaking the mountain's roots, but the sound is fading. The wind is real, the light is real, and the artifact in their hand, though dark now, hums with a warmth that has nothing to do with magic. It's the heat of a promise kept. Behind them, the cave exhales, A long, slow breath of damp air, an old hunger. Shelob doesn't follow. Some prisons have bars even monsters won't cross. The traveler staggers forward, knees buckling, and collapses onto grass that smells of rain and earth and living things. Above, the first stars blink awake, indifferent to the horror below. But the artifact, it's not done yet. Somewhere in its fractured core, something stirs. Dawn licks the traveler's face like a hesitant friend, its light too thin to chase away the shadows still pooled beneath their eyelids. Every muscle screams, every breath rasps like a dull blade against stone, but the artifact, oh, the artifact thrums against their chest, its fractured surface whispering secrets even now. The cave exhales behind them, its breath sour with Shelob's fury, but the monster doesn't cross the threshold. Some laws even she obeys. Grass tickles the traveler's palms, damp with dew instead of blood. The shock of it, something so ordinary, so alive, threatens to undo them. Laughter bubbles up, raw and half hysterical. They're free, they're whole, except the artifact's pulse has changed. No longer desperate, no longer fading. It's curious, its vibrations skimming along their ribs as if testing the shape of their bones. The traveler's fingers twitch. They should let go, they know this, but the weight of it feels right somehow, like a missing piece clicking into place. A shadow shifts at the cave's mouth. Not Shelob, her bulk is too vast for daylight, but something else. A ripple in the dark, a whisper of movement that might be wind or a single strand of web, quivering as if plucked. The traveler's spine stiffens. They've seen enough of Shelob's tricks to recognize a message when it's woven. This isn't over. It was never just about hunger. Some pray, they're remembered. The artifact shudders again, its cracks glowing faintly, outlining something new, a pattern emerging in the breaks, too deliberate to be damaged. Runes, a map. The traveler's thumb traces the jagged lines, and for a heartbeat, the world tilts. Not a vision, not a dream, a presence vast and patient, watching from the other side of those cracks. The traveler jerks back, but the impression lingers, something ancient waking inside fractured metal. Shelob's final snarl echoes through the rocks, not in anger now, but in something almost like a satisfaction. Because here's the cruel joke of survival. You don't just escape monsters, you carry them with you. The traveler's fingers tighten around the artifact. Its pulse syncs with their heartbeat, and the cave, it doesn't fade, it waits. Some doors, once opened, don't close so easily. The wound on the traveler's cheek hasn't stopped weeping. Not blood, but something darker. Something that glistens under moonlight like Shelob's own silk. It doesn't hurt. That's the worst part. The skin around it is numb, as if the venom didn't just scar them, but carved out a piece of their flesh and left silence in its place. They prod at it absently, their fingers coming away sticky with a substance that smells faintly of old webs and damp stone. The artifact pulses against their chest in response, its light dim but insistent, as if trying to fill the hollow the venom left behind. Sleep is a battleground now. Every time their eyelids grow heavy, the whispers return, not Shelob's voice exactly, but something worse, their own thoughts, twisted into her cadence. You didn't win, the dark murmurs. You just delayed the feast. They jerk awake, gasping, fingers clawing at the artifact, as if it could anchor them to reality. But the line between memory and nightmare is fraying. Last night, they swore they felt webs brush their ankles as they slept. This morning, there were strands of gossamer clinging to their boots, though they haven't set foot near the cave in days. The artifact knows it must. Its cracks glow brighter when the whispers grow loud, humming with a frequency that vibrates in the traveler's teeth. At first, they thought it was fighting the venom's hold. Now, they're not so sure. Sometimes, when the nightmares are at their worst, the artifact's light doesn't feel like a shield. It feels like a conduit, channeling the echoes of Shalab's lair straight into their veins. They've tried leaving it behind, tossing it into a stream, burying it under rocks, but always, they wake with it pressed against their skin again, warm as a living thing. And the dreams are changing. No longer just memories of the cave, but visions of other travelers, other artifacts, other monsters whose names taste like rust on the tongue. A mountain that breathes, a forest where the trees have teeth. The artifacts hum to each other across the miles, a symphony only the broken can hear. The traveler stares at their reflection in a rain puddle, barely recognizing the hollow-eyed stranger staring back. The venom's work, or the artifacts. Here's the truth no ballad ever sings. Survival isn't a single moment of triumph. It's the slow, suffocating realization that some battles don't end when the fighting stops. The artifact thrums, its light pulsing in time with their heartbeat. Shalab's laughter coils through the trees, or maybe it's just the wind. The traveler clutches the relic tighter, their nails leaving half-moons in their palms. They'll carry it. They have to, because the awful, exhilarating thought won't leave them. What if the darkness wasn't the cave? What if it was the thing they brought back out? The village square erupts in cheers when the traveler stumbles past the first row of thatched roofs, but the sound is hollow, a performance of relief rather than true celebration. Hands clap their shoulders, fingers lingering a heartbeat too long near the artifact still strapped to their chest. Children dart forward with woven garlands, only to shrink back when they catch sight of the wound on their cheek, its edges glistening with that unnatural sheen. Hero, the blacksmith booms, thrusting a tankard of ale into their hands, but his smile doesn't reach his eyes. The traveler understands. They've seen their own reflection in the smithy's well, the pallor of someone who's walked too long in places where light doesn't belong. The artifact hums against their ribs, its glow reduced to a feeble flicker, like a candle guttering in a draught. It's still warm, still aware. The villagers don't know that, of course. To them, it's just another trinket from the mountain's cursed belly, something to be locked away or blessed into harmlessness. The elder's daughter offers to take it to the temple, her fingers twitching toward its cracked surface, but the traveler steps back without thinking. The motion sends a ripple through the crowd. A hero wouldn't hesitate. A hero would surrender their prize. Later, in the borrowed quiet of a loft above the alehouse, the traveler presses the artifact to their ear. Not to listen, to feel. The whispers aren't words anymore. They're vibrations, echoes of something vast stirring in its sleep. Shalab's venom thrums in sync with it, a counterpoint to the relic's song. The wound doesn't hurt. It itches deep beneath the skin, as if something is knitting itself together inside them. Outside, the village celebrates. Inside, the traveler counts the strands of gossamer clinging to their cloak, strands too fine for human hands to spin, too strong for fire to burn. Dawn finds them at the crossroads, the artifact pulsing faintly beneath their tunic. The villagers' farewells are polite, final. No one asks where they're going. No one needs to. The road ahead is lined with shadows that stretch just a little too long, and the wind carries a scent that doesn't belong to any earthly field or forest. Damp chitin, old silk, and the slow, sweet rot of promises left to wither. The traveler adjusts their pack. The artifact's weight is a comfort now, a compass, because here's the truth they'll never speak aloud. Heroes get parades. Survivors, they get stories, and their story isn't finished yet. Somewhere in the distance, a spiderweb shivers in the breeze, its dewdrops catching the light like 100 watching eyes. The wind carries more than just the scent of pine and damp earth tonight. It carries whispers, not the rustling of leaves or the distant hoot of an owl, but something lower, slower, a voice like silk, dragging over stone. The traveler sits bolt upright, fingers digging into the artifact's cracked surface before they even realize they've reached for it. It thrums against their palm, warmer than it should be, its pulse syncing with the rhythm of those impossible whispers. Little thief, the wind sighs. You didn't think it would be that easy, did you? Shalab's voice isn't in their head. It's in the creak of the trees, the groan of shifting branches, the spaces between their own ragged breaths. The artifact's glow paints their face in flickering gold, revealing what the dark hides. Strands of web, delicate as frost, woven through their hair and clothes. They shouldn't be here. The cave is miles behind them, yet every morning they wake with fresh silk, clinging to their skin, sticky and stubborn as a half-remembered dream. The artifact hums louder, its light flaring as if in warning or encouragement. The lines between the two blur more each night. Here's the choice they can't outrun. Smash the relic against the nearest rock and pray the whispers stop, or press it closer and listen. The first option tastes like sanity. The second, like power. The kind that doesn't just ward off monsters, the kind that understands them. The traveler's thumb traces the artifact's largest crack, feeling the edges bite into their skin. Something moves beneath the surface, not the glow, not the whispers, something deeper. Shalab's laugh curls through the clearing, closer now. You feel it, don't you? The artifact shudders in response, its hum rising to a near-audible tone, a sound that vibrates in the traveler's teeth. It's not just answering her. It's echoing her. The realization hits like a fist to the chest. The artifact isn't a shield, it's a bridge, and every time they've used it, every time they've clutched it tight to chase away the dark, they've been weaving the threads tighter between themselves and the thing in the cave. Dawn is hours away. The fire's embers cough feeble light, but the artifact burns brighter, its cracks spreading like veins across its surface. The traveler's breath fogs the air, though the night isn't cold. Their reflection in the relic's glow shows a face they barely recognize, eyes too wide, mouth set in a grimace that could be fear or hunger. The wind stills. Even the insects hush. In that silence, the choice isn't just about survival anymore. It's about what they're willing to become to win. The artifact pulses one last time, its light flaring like a dying star. Then, without warning, it goes dark. The whispers stop, the webs dissolve, and the traveler, they're left clutching nothing but cold metal and a question that won't let go. Was it ever their choice at all? The cave mouth exhales a breath of damp air as the traveler steps forward, their boots sinking into the same patch of mud where their journey began. Shalab Silo, wet looms just beyond the threshold, her wounds knit together with strands of her own silk, her movements smoother now, not weakened, but honed. The artifact's light pulses in the traveler's grip, no longer a flicker, but a steady blaze, casting long, jagged shadows that twist like living things across the walls. This isn't the same relic they first clutched in terror. Its cracks glow molten now, veins of gold threading through the metal as if something inside has stirred awake. Shelob doesn't lunge. She observes, her many eyes reflecting the artifacts glow not with fear, but recognition. The traveler's free hand drifts to their cheek, where the old wound still gleams slick under the light. It doesn't hurt anymore. It resonates, humming in time with the relic's vibrations. They'd thought the artifact was a weapon, a key, but standing here now, feeling its pulse sync with the thrum of Shelob's webs beneath their feet, the truth clicks into place. It was never meant to fight her. It was meant to speak to her. The cavern trembles as Shelob shifts her bulk, her legs flexing with a sound like grinding stone. Her voice coils through the air, not in words but in vibrations, a language of tremors and echoes that the artifact translates into heat against the traveler's palm. You came back, it murmurs through the metal, not to run, not to hide, to bargain. The traveler's breath catches, bargain, no, they came to end this. But the artifact's glow surges, painting the walls with scenes that aren't memories. A mountain's heart split open, a forest choked with webs, 100 caves just like this one, each with its own monster and its own relic humming in the dark. Shelob's fangs glisten as she leans closer, her breath reeking of old venom and older magic. She isn't attacking, she's offering. The artifact trembles, its light flaring bright enough to burn, but the traveler doesn't drop it. They tighten their grip, because here's the choice they didn't see coming. Wield the relic as a blade and risk becoming just another corpse in her larder, or let it be what it was always meant to be, a bridge. A way to step into the dark without being swallowed by it. The artifact's hum rises to a near-deafening pitch, its cracks spreading like lightning across its surface. Shelob goes unnaturally still, waiting. The traveler exhales, their fingers uncurling just enough to let the light spill free, not as a challenge, but as an invitation. The cavern holds its breath. Somewhere deep in the mountain, something older than Shelob, older than the artifact, stirs in its sleep. The choice isn't between light and dark anymore. It's between fear and the terrible, thrilling possibility that monsters, too, can be outgrown. The artifact's glow engulfs them both. For a heartbeat, there's no cave. No monster, just a light too bright to name, and the certainty that when it fades, nothing will be the same. Shelob's leap shakes the cavern walls, her massive body carving through the air like a blade, forged from pure hunger. The artifact's light doesn't just flare, it detonates, a supernova of gold and white heat erupting from the traveler's hands. For one impossible moment, the spider is suspended in that brilliance, every bristle on her legs, every facet of her countless eyes illuminated with terrible clarity. Then the scream comes, not from her fanged maw, but from the very air around her, a sound like 1,000 mirrors shattering at once. The light doesn't burn. It unravels, peeling back layers of shadow older than the mountain itself, exposing the raw, quivering truth beneath, a creature not born, but woven from the darkest threads of Middle-earth's nightmares. Stone groans as the cavern ceiling cracks, great slabs of rock plunging like teeth into the spaces where Shelob's legs had been moments before. The artifact shudders in the traveler's grip, its cracks spreading like wildfire, each fracture leaking streams of molten gold. They can feel its pulse slowing, not dying, but retreating, its power pouring back into whatever deep place it was dredged from. Shelob's body contorts, her limbs scrabbling against the collapsing rock, her shrieks shaking dust from the walls. But the light holds her fast, not as a cage, as a revelation. The traveler glimpses it then, the flicker of something beneath her monstrous form, not fear, not even anger, recognition. The artifact wasn't made to destroy her, it was made to remember her. The final collapse comes with a sound like the world exhaling. The cavern's mouth seals shut, not with a crash, but with a whisper, as if the mountain itself is drawing a curtain. Darkness rushes in, leaving the traveler standing in sudden silence, their hands cradling the artifact's shattered remains. The pieces are cold now, inert as common stone. No hum, no pulse, just the weight of what was lost and what was unleashed. Dawn finds them at the cave's sealed entrance, fingers tracing the fresh scar in the rock where no moss will ever grow. The wound on their cheek has closed at last, leaving only a pale mark that doesn't sting when touched. That's the cruelest trick of survival. The body heals even when the mind won't. They lift the largest fragment of the artifact to the rising sun, expecting nothing, but the light catches something new in the broken edges. Not gold, not magic, words, faint as spider silk, etched in a language that prickles at the back of their throat. A name, not Shalob's, theirs. Some battles don't end in victory or defeat. They end in signatures. The traveler tucks the shard into their tunic, its weight familiar as a heartbeat. Behind them, the wind stirs the grass in slow, deliberate waves, not a farewell, but a pause. Because here's the truth about sealed doors. They don't stay closed forever, and the next hand on the artifact's broken pieces, it won't be theirs. The traveler's footsteps echo against the barren slope, each one heavier than the last, not from exhaustion, but from the weight of what they carry. Not just the artifact's shattered remnants, but the knowledge humming in their bones like a second pulse. The mountain shrinks behind them, its shadow no longer a threat, but a silent witness. Shelob is gone, and yet, the wind carries the faintest vibration, a whisper of silk on stone, too deliberate to be memory. The artifact's largest fragment glows faintly in their palm, not with the fierce light of before, but with a slow, steady pulse, as if something inside it still dreams. Villages will sing of this victory. Taverns will toast the hero who sealed the monster away, but the traveler knows the truth. Legends are just stories with the messy bits scrubbed out. No ballad will mention how the artifact's cracks still spread, tiny filaments of gold branching like veins under their touch. No tale will speak of the way their healed wound prickles when the moon is high, as if the venom left more than a scar, a thread, perhaps, tying them to the dark they walked away from. They pause at the crest of the hill, turning back one last time. The cave mouth is a jagged stitch in the mountainside, its edges too sharp, too new, as if the rock itself resisted closing. The artifact's glow brightens for a heartbeat, casting long shadows that don't quite match the angle of the sun. A trick of the light, maybe, or maybe some doors, once opened, leave a draft. The traveler tucks the shard away, its warmth seeping through the fabric of their tunic. They won't bury it, won't lock it in some temple's vault, because here's the thing about battles fought in the dark. You don't just win them. You carry them forward. The road ahead is empty, the horizon blushed with the first hints of dawn. Somewhere, in another cave, beneath another mountain, a spider stirs in the depths of a dream it can't quite remember. And in a traveler's pocket, a sliver of gold hums a lullaby only monsters understand.